Hey, it's Steve. In today's video, we're going to take a look at some Athearn N-Scale 2600 cubic foot Airslide hopper cars. So I have three of them here. Two of them are the early versions of these hopper cars that were basically produced between 1955 and 1965. Those are these two here, and then, and then I have a later version which was produced after 1965 with some modifications that had been made to the design. So anyway, let's go ahead and get these out of their jewel cases here. So here's one of the early versions, this Burlington Northern car. You can look here at the differences between the early and late version and notice there's differences on the sides with the gussets on the tops of the sides on the later version, also differences to the handrails and so forth. So here's a closer look at some of the detail you can see here on this model. So overall, very crisp lettering. You have lots of piping detail underneath. The handrails look really nice as well. Regardless of what kind of truck you have, they do all come with metal wheels, and they do have the McHenry couplers, and they do have, again, nice underbody detail as well with the piping that you can see there. And let's take a look at the weight of these cars. Now, the NMRA recommendation for weight, this is about a 3-inch long car, and for N-scale, you're looking at roughly half an ounce. The recommendation is half an ounce per car plus 0.15 ounces per inch of car length. And so this car would theoretically be, about 0.95 ounces if it was to NMRA standards. And it is a little bit heavier than that. It's about 1.1 ounces. Let's see if all of them are about the same. And generally speaking, I always prefer to have the cars overweighted when possible, especially with N-scale, because even an overweight car is pretty lightweight when you're looking at a small car like this. And if you do have a little bit heavier weighted car, that does give you much more reliable coupling operation. If the cars are lightweight, sometimes you try to couple a car and you end up just like pushing the car along and it won't actually actuate the coupler. And so having a little bit heavier of a car weight does allow them to couple a little bit easier. Obviously, the heavier the cars are, the harder it is to pull them up a grade if you have multiple cars. But in general, for switching operations and overall reliability of tracking through turnouts and rough track, a heavier car will stay on the track a lot better. Additionally, when you're trying to uncouple the cars, you don't end up knocking them off the track trying to uncouple them as easily. So let's just see how they do couple. If we just give it a gentle push. So you can see you still have a little bit of an issue with the cars kind of getting pushed along, even though they do have them slightly overweighted. If you have just one car that you're trying to couple to, you do still have a tendency sometimes to have that car get pushed along when you're trying to couple it. I typically use a little small flat-bladed screwdriver to uncouple the cars. You can use a barbecue skewer, different things like that as well. And then you just get the screwdriver in between the couplers. Try to give it a little bit of a twist, and you can get the cars uncoupled pretty easily. And it did stay on the track, so that was nice. Again, the lighter the weight the car is, the harder it is to keep the car on the track when you do that, but this works pretty nicely. You can also work on your couplers a little bit. Lubricating them with a little graphite can also help that operation and make it a little bit easier to couple those cars when you're trying to push a lightweight car into a lightweight car. But overall, not bad, and they do track pretty nice. But anyway, you can see here the very crisp lettering on the painting of these cars. So really, really nice overall. Again, these are very small cars being N-scale, and the lettering does still look really good. And you can see here what the ends of one of the late version cars look like, and the end of one of the early version cars. Here's the underbody of one of the early version cars and the underbody of one of the late version cars. So you might be wondering what an Airslide hopper actually is. Well, originally things like flour and sugar and those kind of goods were shipped in boxed cars and packages. However, that's obviously less efficient in terms of unloading and loading times and that kind of thing. So hopper cars are a lot easier to use for transporting bulk goods. However, if you're trying to transport something like flour or sugar or those kinds of materials, they do have a tendency to kind of cake up, especially if there's any moisture at all in the product or the inside the hopper car. You can obviously get those things to really cake up on the bottom or really anywhere in there, and that can clog your outlet and prevent everything from flowing out easily. And so what the air hoppers have is a membrane on the bottom that allows air to be pumped through, and that helps to fluidize the material that is inside the hopper car. If you want to see a fantastic example of how air can fluidize a material, check out this Mark Rober video, to which I'll have a link in the description below. But this basically, what he did was take a hot tub full of sand, pumped air through it, and basically it became something you could swim in. And so you can really fluidize a material by pumping air through it that allows it to flow very, very easily. And so that's what these hopper cars do. And so by pumping air through them, you can really unload the material very easily and really completely, and that's kind of a big thing as well. So you're getting almost all the material out of the car when you do unload it, when you do have that air pump through there. So it does make it much more efficient. Again, these early cars were built between 1955, 1965. The later versions were obviously built after that. These kind of hopper cars are used to serve flour mills, sugar refineries, bakeries. Plastic pellets are also shipped in these kind of cars. And so plastic plants, anything making plastic or plastic products might have these kind of hopper cars used as well. So they can serve a lot of industries. I grew up not too far from a cornstarch facility, and they also had these kind of hopper cars used for the transportation of cornstarch. And so that type of material as well could be found in these types of hopper cars. So you can see here, Athearn offers these cars in Burlington Northern, GATX, Union Pacific. There's also Cotton Belt, I think Denver and Rio Grande. There may or may not be another road name, but you have at least several road names to choose from. I believe each road name has at least 3 car numbers available, so you do have a few that you can buy for each railroad. Athearn states a minimum radius for 9 3/4 inches for these cars. However, I wouldn't be surprised if you could get them around a somewhat smaller radius since they are fairly short. All these cars do have, like most Athearn products that I've seen, all have body-mounted couplers, and those are really, really nice for operations. And again, those metal wheel sets do help to lower that center of gravity a little bit further and track a little bit better than the plastic wheels you'll see on some cars as well. So I do like that with these cars. Anyway, these are really nice cars from Athearn, and let's take a look at them running around my current 3.5 by 5.5 foot end scale project layout. Again, if you are interested in picking up one or more of these hopper cars, go ahead and check out the link in the description below to where you can pick those up. But anyway, that's all for this video, and thanks for watching. Bye.